Hey, hi everyone. This is Amit here. Am I audible? Loud and clear? Anybody? You can put in the chat box also if you want to.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Okay, guys, in the interest of time, I think we should start. Meanwhile, people can keep joining. As it's an introductory session only, they can catch up as and when they'll be. So, quickly, I will start presenting my screen and we'll jump into the topic. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So hi everyone, I'm welcoming you all to the first demo session for the course named as the Basics of Interior Fit Out Industry. And this is having a unique idea from the eye of a new graduate civil engineer, from the perspective of how new fresh graduates can look into this industry. That's the idea behind this. So moving on, a quick introduction about myself since we will be partnering through in this course together. I mean, who am I, what I do. So, hi everyone, this is Amit Thavrani here. I have an 11 years of experience in the field of client management, quantity surveying, contract management, procurement. This all I have an extensive experience in the field of interior designing and commercial fit out spaces. What all this means, we will be covering ahead as that is the main crux of today's discussion or today's topic. And in terms of my academic background, I have done my BE Civil from Pune University, then my MBA from Mumbai University. Post that, I have done my MRICS in the quantity survey pathway from Chartered Surveyors Association, that is RICS from United Kingdom. In terms of my previous experience, I have been associated with certain good companies you might be knowing, named as CBRE, Space Matrix, Shapurji, Oberoi. So these are some good, big, reputed brand names in the construction industry which work. What I have done in my career overall till now is around 25 lakh square feet of design and build spaces for commercial fit outs. I have been, part of the projects of deliveries, working, cost planning, etc. all together. So this is all about me. We'll be, going through it more as we know each other further. Quickly moving on, the very first thing which comes to my mind, I mean, why we choose this topic? What is the need of this topic? That was something which I wanted to, touch base. So what happens when a freshly graduate civil engineer, gets is on the verge of graduating or you are in the final year? We have no idea about the basic information how civil engineering can be connected to the field of commercial interior fit outs, interior designing, how these two terms or how these two fields are interconnected. Because we don't know anything since they are very initial days, very few civil engineers have idea about what exactly comes under interior designing, what comes under finishes manager, what is a finishes engineer. So these terms are totally, alien terms for us when we join new companies and we feel embarrassed or, lack of confidence. So this is something, what I wanted to put across through my experience, how we can overcome this bridge or, bridge this gap and make you guys ready for this field. Because The potential is enormous. It's just vast. We'll cover it ahead. What all this field needs in terms of personal or a personality development. This will require extensive thinking, lot of coordinated decisions because finishes is things, interior designing is a thing which is visible everywhere. So whatever is visible, we cannot mess up there. So lot of coordination comes in picture. When we will go through the processes, you will get to know what I mean by coordinated decisions. Now, what is the value add for you guys in this course? It's very, very important and basic. Once you are knowing some basics of the interior designing, it adds enormous value to your profile, how you can handle basic civil engineering work as well as finishes work. So it gives your profile a dual weightage. When a recruiter, when a company comes to your, when there is a academic, what we say, placement, yeah. Whenever there are placements, if you have this dual role exposure, it gives you a lot of added advantage over other competition. That's another angle to cover. So this was the need of the topic, why we wanted to cover this. So moving on, the very basic question I will touch base: what is interior designing? What does it mean? Okay, so as the name suggests, it means interior and design. So what we are doing, we are designing internal spaces of a building. Once we enter a building, if you see, if anybody has seen any commercial building, any complex, there will be outside some brickwork, some blockwork, some glass, and then if you enter inside, there will be bare slabs. Once we enter that area, how we can plan that space, what we can do as in spatial arrangement, how we can create value for the end user who will be using that space, both in the form of aesthetic, that is, how we can make it look beautiful, and functional. Functional means how we can make it more and more practically usable. So these two factors, when we touch base, when we decide, when we design through a scientific method, that's called as interior designing. So, what I mean by scientific method, it just doesn't mean making some plans, showing some sketches or showing some area that this is a room, this is some elevation. It's not about just that. How we will, what does an interior designer focus? They focus on they focus on making the space meaningful. It needs to be fun. It needs to be usable. Who are the end users who will be using the space? What is the final usage? What they want to do? What is the company's goal for that space? Considering each and every factor, the natural factors, lot of thinkings come in picture, and then using some scientific methods and approaches, a beautiful design comes out that is called as interior design. Okay, so how do we do it? Basically, it has a particular scientific journey through a concept stage, then detailed design stage, then execution stage. There are different stages. I'll touch base these stages ahead. So how do we do it? Basically, a lot of people come together. There is a brainstorming session which happens on the concept, what kind of concept we want to put across, how we can use the space, how we can use each and every square foot, each and every square inch of the space, so that the end user, the money provider, the builder, the client, they get value for their money. Okay. So how they will get value for money? If we design the space such that their time, their cost, and what design solution they are looking for. If all these three things come together, then an outcome comes through, and that's what a brief role of an interior designer comes in picture. This is how an interior designer works. I hope this intro is quite elaborative and very simple to understand. Still, if you have any questions, you can put that in the chat box. We have a Q&A session in between. We'll be addressing each and every question. Okay. So moving on, when I said, as I was saying, spatial planning, spatial experiences, right? So I've just put one layout over here just to give you guys some idea about how does spatial planning means. What does spatial planning mean? So this is just a basic layout of a 40,000 square feet project which I had done recently in my past last year only. So if you can carefully see in the center, this is all called as core area, where the lift pits are given, the toilets are given. So this is a common area for a commercial building, where a builder provides this area. Okay, if you will see center RCC core area, it is called as. Okay, so if you can see carefully, the central lift lobby, there are two arrows extending. So this is the arrival space, what we call. So if you are a guest user for this building, suppose you are traveling to this building, you are going in the building, and you are traveling from that lift to the particular floor, how you will arrive in the building, that defines the arrival space. If you can see, there is a client experience area at the bottom. So here you will be sitting, you will be seeing what is the company's philosophy. So lot of planning requires over there, how we will make this space beautiful so that you feel engaged with the company, with their culture. What does that company do? What kind of graphics branding we can do? So this is one client experience area. If you can see, there are major areas in four corners named as open work area. So here the workstation, the tables and chairs will be put across for the employees who will be working for the company, and they are strategically placed along the glazing. If you can see, there is a glass over there, so they will get natural sunlight. So their productivity increases. So as you can see, each and every area has been bifurcated with lot of scientific thought, lot of functional areas, and there will be a lot of look and feel added, the aesthetics added once we will see the detailed design ahead. So this is what I meant by what is space planning, what is spatial experience, so that area is covered in such a way that the users, all the users, get the value for the money, value for the investment. That's the idea. Moving on to a very common question which I keep coming across through, various new graduates ask me that, Sir, what is the difference between an architect and interior designer? We really don't know who does what, why they are different. Okay. So I'll just cover that for you guys quickly. How do these two things are different? So what does an architect do? I'll just take you through the same layout back. If you can see this space, the central core area, the outside facade, that is glass, how this glass will be placed, what core size we need to give, this all, the entire space planning is done by architect, which includes coordination for the structural elements also, beams, columns positioning, then shear wall positioning, staircase positioning. This all is a responsibility of architect. Whereas if you will see interior designer, once the architect gives a proper base plan in terms of beams, column structures, wall sizes, block work sizes, once that all base frame is done, it's more about the internal finishes, internal space development, how to improvise in the base plan, how to work on the look and feel. That main area is taken care by interior designer. Basically, if there is a box, suppose there is a box, if there is a cartoon box and four walls, and inside the cartoon, that will be done by architect as a base frame. Inside, whatever we need to place, where different pockets, that will be done by interior designer. Just to make it very simple. Okay. So basically, it's about the macro detailing. The overall picture is done by architect. The micro detailing, that is minute details of the space, they are done by the interior designer. I hope this clears the idea. What do I mean by the difference between architect and an interior designer? Okay. So moving on, since we touched base upon interior designing as a brief introduction, what are the types? What is the broad level classification of interior designing? So it's a vast field which is predominantly divided in different types. So the main types are residential interior designing, workplace interior designing, and retail and hospitality interior designing. What does that mean? We'll touch base each one. Say for example, if I say I want to do interior design for my bungalow or my flat or a second home which I own in Lonavala, for example. So these type of properties where we reside, where we live, which is intended for the client's end use purpose of living over there, using for their personal living purpose, that kind of properties come under residential interior designing. Okay, that's one part. Next comes as a workplace, or sometimes it is called a commercial interior designing also. So what does this mean? You must have seen a lot of offices, corporate offices. So this field deals with the design and development of the office spaces mainly, which can be corporate offices, someone's personal office. These are generally rented out spaces which we develop for clients. Can be which can be a big company or a proprietary firm or a personal office for someone's official purpose. That can be covered over here. The third category, which is named as retail and hospitality. So this mainly deals with lounges, restaurants, retail outlets. I'm sure you must have seen outlets like Reliance Fresh or Puma or Adidas, for example, or some good restaurants. If I name a few, some restaurants. So this where commercial purpose in terms of earning, in terms of giving leisure to people, hospitality experience to people is involved. That area is called as retail and hospitality interior designing. I'll just give you some examples in terms of you will have an idea with respect to some images. So as I already covered for residential interior designing, the buildings covered are mainly flat bungalows and villas. Okay, so this has a very personal and very end user experience type of very niche design we need to do in this, because the clients are direct flat or bungalow owners who want the interiors to be designed as per their choices, their needs. They take their own time for this because this is somewhere they will live. So a lot of detailing they require, and time duration they involved is a little bit more. So if you see the notable points or some USP about this type of design is, since we are dealing with direct end user, the client directly talks to us. The flat owner talks to us what they want, what they don't want. So we get the design expectation very easily in this type. Okay, it is very easy to understand what the client wants. Okay, because generally there
Yeah.
are two, three, four people. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but on the second side, since the client is end user and they have a lot of emotional attachment with this type of spaces, they keep on changing the requirements. They keep on changing the decisions. Okay, I'm not liking this paint. I'm not liking this wallpaper. So this involves a little bit more time duration. That's another side of this area. If I may touch upon the workplace interior designing on the contrast, here, as I said, a pocket of building. Some builder will develop a building, a complete structure of the building. It will be covered with glass, and then internal area what we get as a bare slab, where slabs will be exposed, columns will be exposed. That is called as bare shell office. So we get bare shell offices in this type of interior, in this type of design vertical, and then we need to develop it as per the client needs. So who are the clients over here? Generally the company CEOs, CFOs, the managing directors, who are the influential decision makers. They deal with us and they state us the requirements. Okay, I need an office space for 200 people in which I need 10 meeting rooms, 50 workstations. Like this they give us the idea, and then we try to fit in these requirements as per their needs, as per their business needs. Okay, what are the notable points about this type of design vertical? Basically here every builder gives these spaces on lease. I'm sure someone, if you don't understand lease, it means giving some space on rent to someone. Okay, the clients, since these buildings are very expensive, they take these spaces, some floors on rent for a particular time. Say for example 3 years, 40,000 rupees a month or 50,000 rupees a month. That's how they will give. I'm just giving one example. And there will be a contract signed between the builder and client. So this is called as leased out space. Okay. So such spaces, because there is a lot of rent involved, the client wants it to be done in a very fast pace, very fast turnaround time. So a typical 10,000 square feet office space, if I may put in duration, we need to complete in maximum 2 or 3 months with entire design to handover. Whereas if you will see a house of 2,000 square feet bungalow, if I'll say a residential house, it can go around 6, 7 months, 8 months, depending on the client's timeline. So you can see the vast difference. The timeline is very crunched here. So the pressure is very high in terms of performance because a lot of money is at stake of different people. They want the office to be functional. They want to do the business. That's how the pressure builds on here. But the good thing about this area is, since work is to be done faster, payments are done faster, and that's how it generates lots of employment opportunities to people like us, like you. You know, a lot of people are needed in this field, so that that small timeline, that crunch timelines can be, you know, othered, and we can serve the client in the given timeline. So we need people. So that's how the employment is generated over here. Okay. Now the last part, that is this hospitality interior designing, if you will see. So as I said, the buildings covered here are retail outlets, lounges, experience centers. If you will go for a, you know, paper price showroom, if you will see the furniture showroom, these are all experience centers. These are outlets where we will have, as a client, we will go and have experience of the space. So and if you'll go to a spa, or you know, any but a multiplex is food court, if I may put it that way. So these are all hospitality structures. This is another angle. Again, here the owners can be business owners, which are direct, you know, dealing in this, or some franchisee partners, like as I said, for a food court, it can be, you know, KFC, or I'll say MACD, just to put an example. So that kind of design comes under this hospitality or retail interior design. Again, the notable point remains, first point remains same, that turnaround times are very fast because rents are involved, leases are involved. So people need these things to be covered very fast. So employment chances are very fast. But one important part here is, this design requires a lot of unique approach, because aesthetics aesthetics plays lot more importance over here, because everybody needs their brand, their showroom to look different. So they extensive design thinking, what does the client want, how we can make it different, these are important parameters which we need to, you know, do in the in this type of interior designing, basically. So it's like less time but more work, to put it in a very simple manner. Okay, I'll just cover one life cycle over here. Just one life cycle out here. Now you know interior designing types. What does an interior designer particularly do in a project? If I may touch base a project. So this we will be covering as a live case study ahead in our further sessions. I will cover that ahead, how we will take care of the sessions ahead. So basically, there are three important stages where an interior designer is required in a project. First is the concept stage, second is detailed design stage, and third is execution stage. So what do we mean by concept? Concept means whatever there is in client's mind, that we need to put on paper and show them some concepts, some ideas, some design philosophy. Okay, so all that to get from client's mind through extensive meetings and put it on a paper. Okay, that this is how your space might look. These are two, three options. This we cover in concept stage. So here, interior designer develops the concept for the end user, basically. Now comes detailed design. Once a client agrees, okay, this is the concept. For example, there will be a concept of a leaf-based structure for a building, and a leaf-based structure. Someone needs to, you know, derive. So how the detailed design will be done for that? Different plans. How flooring layout will look? How ceiling layout will look? How the furniture arrangement will be done? How the services like ACs, electrical switches, wires, how we will plan all that, these all parameters will come in the detailed design stage. Okay, this all will be covered by the interior designer along with the services team. Third will be the execution stage. Once your design is completely ready, then we hit the site, that is called as execution stage. So there the interior designer needs to issue drawings named as GFC, which is called as good for construction drawing. So these drawings the contractors will be using on site to execute the project as per the design finalized. Whether it is getting executed as per the design, whether there are any challenges, that all design management, whether we are doing it in the given timeline or not, that all role needs to be, you know, done by the interior designer along with the project team. So that's how, in a nutshell, the role of an interior designer is, you know, summarized here. This we will be going through stage by stage in the week 1 and week 2 of the training. Just to give you gist, I've covered this topic. So I'll just cover you guys about the overall journey, how the course is divided, what are we gonna do in this course. Basically, this is a 1 month course, 6 days a week we'll be doing it. Everyday sessions will be an hour duration. That's how we have divided it. The first 4 days we'll be covering the topics for the week. There are different topics for each week that I will cover in the next few slides. Every week's fifth day, we have a gap because fourth day, at the end of the fourth day, I'll be giving you guys certain assignments. Those will not be some boring assignment, but something to tickle your mind, something which is not taught in your academic sessions, but that can make you think about what we have learned in that overall week. Then sixth day will be a completely interactive session, that is Saturday of every week. Whatever assignment I have given you, how you guys have approached it, and how we can improvise over that. That all discussion we'll be doing on every sixth day of the week. So that's how we'll be covering it week by week. So as I said, 4 weeks. What all topics are covered in these 4 weeks? So the very first 2 weeks we'll be covering the basic elements. As I said, I've just given you some idea about interior designing. So this in detail, what are the basics of interior designing, the space planning principles. Okay. Then we are focusing more on the commercial fit out industry. That is the way I said, the office spaces, the retail spaces, because that is the area where I belong and I know what potential is there. So I will take you guys through the nature of overall interior fit out industry. Okay, what does interior fit out industry mean? How does a typical company function with the help of different departments? How internal departments are related for a project success? How they function all together and their significance? So department by department, process by process, we will be bifurcating this entire gamut of interior designing for the first 2 weeks. Third week, as I see that you guys will be more relevant, more confident about interior principles and the company structures. You will be more confident about how to approach how this industry works basically. So there will be certain important factors we'll be discussing about your placement, how you can target these companies, commercial fit out industry for your placement. What are the important do's and don'ts for going for placement rounds for these companies, or if you have got any offer letter from a company, how to approach and make yourself a really valuable asset ahead. So that roadmap we'll be discussing, which will be based on a practical approach and my experience over last 11 years, how you can pave your way in this industry, which is really demanding but beautiful in terms of exploring. And the last one, week 4. This is one of the most practical topics which I will be covering here. There will be different case studies because once you join a company, generally what happens, you really don't know what to be done if there is a certain situation comes up with respect to a work, with respect to dealing with someone, with respect to dealing with a senior. So there are different case studies which I have put together in department wise I have put. For example, QS case study will be there, procurement case study will be there. So if you have joined a company and you are clueless about how to approach, this case studies will help you to deal once you are in the company and relatively very new. You don't know anybody, but you can relate with this case study so that it will help you to think in that pressure situation in that very moment. Because making decisions in very fast-paced timelines is one of the major corporate success factors, if I may put it that way. So this week 4 will immensely help you how to develop that decision making ability, how to resolve issues, how to manage people of different departments with the help of some case studies. So what I'll cover here is what has happened as a disaster through a work or through a process, through my experience, and how you can tackle it, how it should be tackled, so that that impact can be mitigated. That will be covered over here. Okay. And the last topic about the course content, last but not the least, this sessions I want as interactive as possible because I don't want anybody to think, okay, this looks very dumb question, I cannot ask it. The very reason for this training is you guys is to open up and talk, so that the question may look dumb, but that will clear your basics. And that dumb question, it might look very simple right now, but it may help you in your professional journey later. So that's the idea, that you should feel confident about asking questions. You should feel shameless about asking questions. That's the idea. Okay. As I covered here, these are, I'll just quickly touch base all the topics here. So week one, it's about basic introduction, nature of work, a company structure, brief introduction, department-wise function. Every day we have dedicated to one department, and that's how we will go ahead in second week as well. So projects, estimation, finance and IT, support functions like HR, legal, contract, how these all departments come together to make projects successful. How does a company function? That all will be covered here. Week three, as I told you, some people tips about actual corporate life, how you can target, how you should approach a company, how you can target which company you want to go, that kind of ideas about placements, how to prepare, how you can improvise your LinkedIn presence, how you can be on the professional side, internships, all about that. If there are interviews or you have been selected somewhere, that we will cover here. What are the major things which you should do just before or just after getting placed, before you actually join a firm? What all necessary precautions, not precautions, but preparations, I will say, you can do. And as I said, that a virtual do's and don'ts we will do for your first day of joining, so that there is a ready checklist for you guys. What can be done, what should you do, what should you not do, what can be checkpoints, important checkpoints once you go, how to greet people, that all will be covered over here. And as I said, there will be real-time case studies in week 4, again department-wise case studies. And we will be concluding with an assignment and the discussion on the overall course on the last day. So that's how I have, placed the course overall. I would like to, answer any questions, any doubts, anything which comes to your mind. I'll be happy to, answer it. So that's how we'll be covering the course. I'm open to answer.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. I just want to ask, is this course also contains the planning part? Means apart from QS, planning is also there or not?
So you mean, what do you mean by planning? Do you mean project planning in terms of how to schedule, how to make project schedule, how to
Yes, sir. Yes,
crash
sir.
the activity? So we will not
Yes.
be doing it in detail because that's a separate course. We have different subject matter experts for it. But how a project life cycle is derived through an interior designer's idea. As I said, there were three stages I showed you, right? So that we will be taking up with a live or an a live case study. For example, a 10,000 square feet project, how we will approach in terms of durations, how we will dedicate the design time, how we'll dedicate the project time, that all we'll be covering, but not making schedules and all. But you will get a fair idea how the pre-construction, post-construction, timelines are derived through the project progress. That's the idea.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
One more important part I will cover over here is which I may not touch in this, but there is since there are certain communication protocols in the industry which we need to follow. In a corporate world, you require a lot of communication protocols. They are not hard and fast, but they are very important for your professional progress. I'll be as and when through the process I'll be touching that topics also. If you are talking to a CEO, how you should address if there is an issue, how you should raise the concern. There are ways to uh, talk or get your work done, how you can make sure that you are doing the optimum work, not maximum, not minimum, but the real work, so that you are getting your value, how to get feedback from your seniors. So a lot of such practical terms I'll be covering over there, because that helps for your career progression a lot. Because I'll just touch base on my career path also in that. Since I was asking people how I can improve, where I'm making mistakes, what I should do, what I should not do, and using my own brains also, of course, all together, we know where are we heading. Okay, you can get the idea of your path. So that one important part we'll be touching in this. Once we'll talk about the career opportunities. Once I will talk about the preparation before joining a corporate. Once you join the corporate, how you should conduct yourself. That all is very important. And another thing, I mean, how this field is enormous in terms of making career. And that's something I would really love you guys to explore meanwhile. Before we get into the actual course, just read about more about the commercial fit out industry. What does that mean? What kind of any building you try to observe in your vicinity, in your surrounding area, what is happening over there, how they are developing. If someone is allowing you for a visit, it will add a lot of value to your perspective before getting into the course. A lot. Not that we will not cover it, but that will add a new dimension to your thinking. Because what happens, he as a civil engineer, even me when I had graduated in 2010, I thought, okay, being a civil engineer, only site engineering is the job for me, or only structural engineer is the job for me. I really didn't know how to explore in this, how to be a contract specialist, how to be a QS professionalist, how to be an estimation engineer. Okay, how to handle budgets, finances, forecast. These all things were completely alien to me. But once I opened up my mind to these things, okay, how does this thing happen? So right now, I'm owning a company named as Convergence Designs, for which I'm a director. Okay, so I've started planning the spaces for clients on my own. I've recently started, but I mean that's how you can explore being from an employee to learning it, unlearning something in from your past, learning new things, and you can just jump into the entrepreneurship. You can do anything. So as I said, the potential is enormous. It's gonna open up a vast exposure to you guys, what you can do. And the field is in trend. It's gonna fetch up a lot of career opportunities for sure. It's gonna come up big time for sure.
So, sir, we will be guided after this course how to approach a company for this interior fit out
So
projects.
yeah. So as I said, if there are, I mean, I'll be watching out you guys closely, and there will be certain internship offers which I will also give to some people whom I see they are, really keen to learn. They have potential. That is something as a gesture from my end also, because then only you guys will be getting some idea. Okay, how to work in a project. I can give you certain assignments on my projects which I'll be working for my client. So that is also something, not only just guidance, but a real-time guidance on ground, working on a live real project, how to deliver for a client. So that kind of 1 month, 2 month internship I will be giving to certain bright students at the end of the course, once we, go through the journey. I'm just checking the chat section. Sir, can you share some project photos if you have? Yes, definitely. So project photos are part of the case studies, as I told you. So once I will cover the concept to hand over, right? There is a site covered in that particular aspect. How to do site visit, site survey. So everything right from a bare shell office to how that office was transformed completely through the process of interior designing. That all journey is covered in your detailed course in terms of photos. So it will clear your ideas how we started and where we ended. More questions, guys? Anything you to ask?
Sir, at what timing this course would be means there for a daily?
So since we work on daily basis, and I generally get free at 7:30, 8 to 9 is what we are planning in the evening. So that's not too late, but at least people can be at home at their comfort, and that's how we'll do. It's 8 to 9.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay.
So yes, what about technical specification? Really good question. So that is something which is part of one of your important assignments. How to read BOQs, how to correlate technical specification, and how to check whether that has been implemented on site or not. That is one of the important factors that we will be covering. So in terms of technical specifications of materials, I will give you the ideas of materials which we generally use during the process. For example, if I say false sealing, so what does false sealing comprise of? Aluminum channel, then their supporters, and it will be a 2x2 grade. Then on that we'll be screwing this gypsum board. So this is how we will segregate the technical specs, and we'll try to make you guys aware how to read the spec and check whether it is on site implemented, not implemented. Okay, so in terms of softwares, no, there are no softwares which you'll be using, because this is predominantly a practical experience based training in which I am targeting to focus two aspects. One, how to build awareness and confidence about this industry in the civil engineer. Second, how to improve your decision makings once you guys are into it. Okay, so it doesn't require any software based mechanism as of now. So we'll not be touching basing any software, because we are touching the topic as as a whole. Okay, interior designing, there are different softwares to develop 3Ds and all, but as I said, our course is through the perspective of civil engineer. So how we can make use of the principles of interior designing for our career progression. That's how we'll be doing. So it doesn't require any software uses. Yeah, I think the Protrini team will be providing certification